We've arrived at the Pater Noster, and we're going down into the cave where Jesus taught the disciples the Pater Noster, the Our Father. And also, this is the mountain from which he ascended into heaven. And this, we're gathering here, this is where Jesus came with his disciples to find a cool place to stay during the heat of the day. And while he was here, he taught them. One of the things he taught them was the Our Father.
Pater nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo.
Now we heard the Our Father in Aramaic the other day in Bethlehem, remember? How foreign it sounds to our English ears. And that's where Jesus taught the disciples to pray that right. We just left the Church of the Dormition where Mary fell asleep, and now we're entering the upper room. You'd never know this was the upper room. It has a very plain doorway. Father's leading the way here ahead of me. And here's the upper room. If you think it looks like a mosque, you're right. It was turned into a mosque. But now it's a museum, basically, held by the Jews. But we can still come here, but we cannot pray Mass here. Only we can talk here and see the place.
Had his Last Supper with the disciples, but it is the same location. It is on Mount Zion. It was part of the church that covered two sites previously, the Dormition of Mary and the place of the Last Supper. In the course of time, we lost the church of Achaia, which was built for the place of the Dormition. That was in the 7th century. In the 12th century, the Crusaders decided that they're going to build a separate chapel, and that is over the same location where Jesus had his Last Supper with the disciples. The Crusaders' understanding of an upper room is a second floor room.
First time. They said, we saw Jesus. And he said, I will not believe. I am a skeptic. I am the modern atheist, the agnostic. I don't believe. I won't believe until you prove it to me. Well, John does this wonderful thing in this gospel. The whole gospel is intended to prove that Jesus is God. That's the whole purpose of it. You know how we know that? Because that's the premise. When a writer starts out, he tells you his premise first, and then he argues it, and then he tells you if he proved it or not at the end. It starts out in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and I am going to tell you why I know and prove and document it for you, and then we'll see if I've concluded with the right conclusion at the end. So through the whole gospel, he's telling you that this is God, even has Jesus using the divine name, I am, throughout the gospel. I love the way, I don't always like the New American Bible that we use at Mass, but what I do like sometimes is when in John, where it says I am, it actually puts it in capital letters so you know Jesus is using the divine name. And John shows 7 miracles. 7, remember, is the perfect number. It's the number of God. He doesn't call them miracles. He calls them signs. Signs do what? Point you to something. He's pointing you to the divinity of Christ. And the Jews understood it because they picked up rocks to throw at Jesus. For what good deed are you stoning me? We are not stoning you for any good deed that you have, because you, being a man, make yourself out to be God. So John starts out by saying he's going to prove it, and then at the end he's now coming to the conclusion. Has he proved it? Well, what's more impressive, if John himself concludes by saying, there, I proved my point, he is God, or to let the ultimate skeptic, atheist, agnostic, let him make the proclamation? Thomas walks into the room, the doubter, the skeptic, the agnostic, and he walks in and Jesus steps up to him and says, Thomas, come in and put your fingers in my hand and put your hand in my side, and do not be doubting but believe. And Thomas fell down and says he worshiped Jesus, and what did he say? My Lord and my God. This is how John concludes. I'm going to start by saying he is God. I'm going to let the skeptic give the final word. He is God. John's proved his point.
All right, everybody. Here we are on the last day of Steve's group, and people are getting ready to go home tonight, tomorrow morning, to celebrate Easter with their families. I want to take the opportunity to greet all of you that have been with us before, with Steve, Janet, and myself, and we look forward to having you again, or members of the family, if you think we did a good job. I want to especially greet my close friends on this holy season and wish you all a happy Easter. Lisa, if you can hear me, I want to wish you a happy Easter and wish you feel better, and hope to see you again pretty soon here in the Holy Land, because some people are waiting for you to come back. Thank you.
We decided to come to the Ramat Rachel for lunch. There's Dottie getting hers. There's a lot to choose from here. And then we have the buffet, another buffet line with all kinds of chicken and fish and beef, potatoes, carrots. Everybody loves the dessert table. Anything you can imagine there. And the drinks. There's Amy getting her. What are you going to get, Amy?
I don't know what I'm going to get.
Too many choices?
Yes.
And then we're going to come over here and have our lunch. Nobody has to pay because it's all included, one of the benefits here. We look out the window and you see Bethlehem.